podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
United versus the A-League All-Stars 11, which is not an oxymoron, apparently.
The question is, how many different positions will Big Emil play in?
This is very true, yeah, and enough about Ryan Giggs' love life.
Oh, dear.
It will only cost you £229 with Thomas Cook Sport, official travel partner of Manchester United, to see United versus the A-League All-Stars. And that's not including the flight, that's just the game. £229 to watch United play a bunch of cloggers from Australia.
That's good. Yeah, it seems completely excellent value. I don't see why that should be any problem whatsoever. Interesting that we're playing a Singer All-Star 11. The Cobra All-Star 11 were busy being an anti-terrorism task force in the UK. It's almost as if David Cameron doesn't know that Singer is the official beer of Manchester United.
How could he not know? Yeah. I mean, United should be able to win that game because obviously the Singer All-Star 11 will be somewhat inebriated. It's in the contract.
For 1 second, I thought it was like a Monty Python thing, you know, the Philosopher's 11.
Yeah,
I thought it was
it.
I thought it was a Singers All-Star 11. So, like, you know, Elton John and Paul McCartney would be in there, have Adele up front. Actually, I was going to say, before all that craziness, I look back at the football, but the actual football proper competitive league fixture was not much less insane than us playing a team of international singing sensations, was it?
Yeah, I mean, United were definitely on the beach a week early, weren't they? It's utterly crazy. I mean, it started like a house on fire, 3-0 up within half an hour, and then back to 3-2, and then 5-2, and then 5-all. I'm not quite sure what was going on. I don't think Fergie could make head nor tail of it either.
No, I mean, 5-all is such an insane scoreline. I like the fact that it's basically the only scoreline they could work out that Fergie hadn't had at some point during his managerial reign. I went to the ground. I sadly, my vain hope of getting a ticket was dashed on the rocks pretty much the second that Sir Alex announced that he was going to go. But I went, had a walk around the ground, and so I went and bought a few programmes as presents and one to give away on the show. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. Although at 3-0, I was fairly confident that whatever happened in that game, we were going to be pretty terrible in the second half.
Yes, I mean, does fit a pattern, right? Not a lot of surprise, although a lot of surprise at the scoreline. Not a lot of surprise that United weren't brilliant in the second half because, frankly, that's been the pattern of the season, and particularly since the title was wrapped up, and I suppose also true since that game against Real Madrid. It seems a long time since United played well, doesn't it?
Yeah, with the exception of the Villa game.
With the exception of the Villa game, and, well, you know, I guess it's wrapped up the season, and we can always look forward to next year, and we'll see whether Moyes can turn that particular complacent streak around. You'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd think that the players will be thinking about impressing the new manager and so on. But, you know, that's for next season. We don't need to worry about that one, do we? Let's talk about West Brom and the goals, because it was nice to see Shinji on the score sheet. Loved it, didn't he? Scoring first up. Yeah,
a great team goal as well. Lovely work. Pretty shocking marking from West Brom, but we did return the favour in ample measure in the second half. But yeah, I mean, United were absolutely brilliant. They were en fuego, you know. It was just one wonderful passing play move after another, wasn't it, for a bit there? Just goal after goal after goal. Shinji on the short score sheet, and the Sir Alex Ferguson legend own goal getting in on the action as well.
Yeah, he's scored quite a few in those 1,500 games that Ferguson has taken part in. Bad Tom Cleverley scoring as well. He's got a few this season, hasn't he? Alex Butner. I can't say that he's really impressed anyone with any of his play, except for in the box.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think it's fair to say he hasn't impressed anyone with his play. I think it's fair to say he hasn't impressed too much when the ball's been in his half, but when the ball's in the opposition half, he looks deadly. I mean, you know, I've said this before on the podcast, I believe, but when you have a kind of attack-minded fullback, there is often the shout, oh, they should play as a wide midfielder or a winger. But I really, really think Alex Butner just appears to be a winger. It's a very odd one. I know he's a converted from a winger, but it's weird, doesn't do a great job defensively. Although bags of energy and as you say, bad Tom Cleverley.
Bad Tom Cleverley, yeah. Before the game, we did our sort of semi-predictions last week. Actually, we didn't properly do a prediction last week on the podcast, and I said United were going to smash 5 past West Brom. I omitted to say that West Brom were going to smash 5 past United, but, let's look. It's just a minor error. What's 5 goals between friends? And in the week that I reviewed my predictions, at the beginning of every season, I put up a piece saying, Rant's predictions for the season. I predict the top 10 in the Premier League, United's performance in the various cups, players of the season, and so on. How many do you think I got right this year? Out of about 20 categories.
I believe the answer was 1. I believe you got 1.
I got 2.
Oh, sorry, I've sold you short now. Well done. That's impressive.
It is with the Champions League to come, and I predicted Bayern would be runners-up. So, come on, Dortmund, I can get there. 3, yes.
My favourite thing about those predictions is what we really have learned over the last 2 seasons. You're good at a lot of things, Ed. You're a very talented young man. Many skills. One thing that you are really terrible at is predicting where Newcastle United will finish in the league. In particular, last season, I believe you had them finishing last. And I think they finished about, 6th or 7th. This season you had them finishing 6th, and they, of course, finished much closer to the relegation zone than that.
Yeah, they're a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Wrapped in Alan Pardew.
I'll keep Newcastle out of all predictions from now on, I think. Yeah, not very good performance. I got the whole top 10 wrong, although that is particularly difficult, picking the top 10 in each of their positions.
It is, because as soon as you get 1 wrong, that means you've got 2 wrong, as it were.
Indeed. So anyway, back to the game, and Van Persie got on the score sheet. Of course, you'd expect him now, over 30 goals for the season. Great return for United. I mean, couldn't really ask for any more, I don't think. £24 million, very well spent in Fergie's last season, and Chicharito, that's nice. Let's hope he's back next season.
Robin wrapped up the Golden Boot. He said it should be, 22 or 28 little tiny golden boots shared amongst the team because goals belong to the team, not the player that scores them.
He's always on a PR mission. Come on. I'm getting a bit fed up with this. I want a bit more Robin arrogance.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I want him doing a Gareth Bale and running towards the camera going, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, he sort of did that a few times about midway through the season, but he was punished by the gods of football for his hubris with a 12-game Baron spell or whatever it was, but he regained his humility and started banging him in from 60 yards with a back heel or whatever. He's just basically a magician, isn't he? It was interesting that Shinji Kagawa scored, and it got me thinking about Shinji's season as a whole. If you remember, we had the closest thing we ever get to an actual footballing argument about his performance against Everton.
No, we didn't.
Didn't we? I just didn't see where you were going with that.
I'm just way ahead of you.
Oh yes, we did. Where you said, if his performances are like that in a year's time, I think we can say that'll be a bit of a disappointment. Actually, I have to say, it now seems like the golden age of Shinji Kagawa at Man United because he was playing in his proper position and he had a pretty good game in that game. And actually, Klopp giving an interview this week saying he's one of the best players in the world. He's playing 20 minutes on the left wing for Man United. It breaks his heart.
I know, a fantastic interview in The Guardian there of you, except for the last line which plugs his particular sponsor. But I guess that is the way of the world with getting interviews these days. But great interview by Don McRae in The Guardian, if you haven't seen it, with Jurgen Klopp. He's a real character. And, I think I said on Twitter, I don't know whether United would be more successful with Moyes or Klopp. Really hard to tell. But I know it'd be more fun. I mean, he's definitely a personality, and there were so many quotes in that piece, but particularly about Shinji, I think. And he's got a point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kagawa has very rarely played in his proper position over the course of the season, and I think we said on the pod last week, it's a little hard to see him doing that next season because that's not exactly how Moyes sets up his teams. Now, maybe it's different when he's got more talented players at his disposal, so we'll see about that one. But I think when the manager of the 2 times Bundesliga winners and now Champions League finalists says that you're playing the player in the wrong position, you should probably listen.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, all in all, a completely crazy game, and by the end of it I was laughing. Some people were annoyed. I just feel like, come on, it's a sunny day, Sir Alex's last game in charge, you might as well enjoy the insanity of it. My MP, Tom Watson, he took his son to his first ever football match and that was it. I just think it's all downhill from here, kid. You are almost certainly never going to see your team come back from 5-2 to a draw 5-5 with Man United again.
Well, it was United's first 5-5 draw since 1895. Don't know about you, but I wasn't at that game.
Me neither. He was a record smasher, that Sir Alex, wasn't he?
So it certainly was. I guess a word for Lukaku as well. Hat-trick on the day. He's had a fine season, hasn't he, on loan at West Brom from Chelsea. Be interesting to see what Chelsea do with him, Got a new manager coming in. Can't see him really getting an opportunity at Chelsea because I think they'll spend money this summer on a new striker, a big-name striker. And so, maybe it'll be better for Lukaku to move on.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, if you were Chelsea manager, wouldn't you be tempted to take a punt on making him a bit of a main man? I mean, I know it's not necessarily directly transferable, leading the line at West Brom to smashing it in the Champions League, but, he looks to have incredible amount of potential.
Yeah. On the bench, Adnan Januzaj. Good reward for a fine performance, under 21 player of the season, of course, or reserve player of the season. He looks like a real talent. He's a lad that is still developing his position, I think. He's kind of utility attacker at the moment. We'll see where he goes. He could end up on the wing or in an attacking midfield space. And nice to see that. Plus a bunch of oldies, Giggs and Ferdinand on the bench. Ferdinand this week signing a new contract, which is very good news, I think, and a sign of continuity.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to him and congratulations to all of us for getting to watch Rio at centre-half. A remarkable season he's had, given he was written off in many quarters, and I think he's in the team of the year, isn't he? In the PFA team of the year, and very well deserved. I've loved watching Rio this season. Fergie said he needed to adapt his game, and he's done exactly that, and he's got his just rewards for that. David Moyes apparently signed off on that, which is just weird to think, isn't it?
It is a big question, right? So what does he do with some of the players? Rio was a key one. Rooney's another key one. Rumours this week, of course, that Rooney might be off to Paris Saint-Germain in a £40 million deal. You can just see Rooney sitting on the Champs-Élysées, can't you? Smoking some gitans.
Are they, lad? It's the Eiffel Tower.
Doesn't exactly fit with his cultural habits, but, hey, you never know. And questions over the coaches and stuff like that. We still don't know what's happening to Meulenstein and Phelan and Warren Joyce and the rest of them. And, look, it'll all play out in time, but I still got the feeling that there's a sense of uncertainty around the club, what with 4 executives moving around and a bit of musical chairs in the boardroom and potentially some in the backroom staff too. Anyway, one step along the way to settling everything down, Rio's contract, and Moyes doesn't officially take over till July the 1st, does he? And that only leaves him with 6 weeks to the start of the season, so I'm sure he'll actually be doing some work this week, including visiting the training ground, apparently.
Yeah, he got permission from Everton and turned up. That's good, isn't it? He's keen, isn't he? And talking of the future of Manchester United, the inaugural Barclays Under-21 Premier League won by the little Babby Reds.
And in fine United style as well, coming back from 2-0 down to win 3-2.
Yeah, absolutely. Really nice to see. And there's definitely some talent on that side, isn't there?
There is. I mean, I couldn't say I'd put my finger on any of them actually guaranteed to be United stars in the future, all right? And thinking back, and maybe this is, just kind of rose-tinted glasses, but thinking back to 92, I remember thinking a lot of them were guaranteed, and in fact they were, and so it's a little bit different, but plenty of talent there, and some of them could make it.
I mean, the thing about the class of 92 is it's just not fair to compare anyone else to them, is it? Because there's never been anything else like it, and United have had a consistent trickle of young players coming through and making themselves part of the first team since then. But no one anywhere has had a burst of players like that since then. And there's been so much talk about them because Beckham and Scholes have both retired and Sir Alex is gone, and in some ways they were his finest achievement, weren't they? They were just miraculous. It was just absolutely miraculous, that side. And we really will never see the likes of that again. So when young teams are compared to that side, you just think, well, if they can achieve, a third of the success that side had, then that'd be an incredibly successful young team, wouldn't it?
Mm. Well, very true, yeah. And, I mean, I guess talking of youngsters, a couple played against West Brom. Actually, it wasn't a very young side, really, but Jones played at centre-half, and that was good to see for him, and cleverly had a game. He's not had much game time, has he, over the spring period? Big summer for him, you feel, He should go away, make sure he's fit and focused, and comes back in August ready to impress the manager.
Yeah, absolutely, because we've got the Rankcast Awards coming up later, and a bit of a spoiler warning. One of them is Best Tom Cleverley Lookalike, and we don't want next season it to be Best Alex Bootner Lookalike, you know what I'm saying? We need the T-Clev's TC23 to come through on some of that potential. I think it's essential.
Yeah, and another notable thing, I guess final notable thing from the West Brom game, Anderson finished the game.
He's finished a whole bunch of games this season. I think he's finished 18 games this season or something.
He really hasn't. That
can't be that, can it?
No, he really has not. I don't think he's played 18 games this season, so yeah.
He's going to be off in the summer, and we'll do that at the end of the show. Predictions of who's staying and who's going. But yeah, it was nice to see him play, and once again put that down to Sir Alex Ferguson just really liking him. Fergie tried to shore it up by bringing Rio on, but he waited till it was 5-4. I think that it was, the horse bolted, door open, all that stuff.
Yeah, the horse had done a couple of laps around Aintree before Fergie tried to shut the door, which is kind of worrying for Ferguson's next career, which is, horse management of some kind. Plus he's got his 20 days a year as an ambassador, for which, reportedly, he's getting 100k a day.
Yeah, well, good, because, as you said, he's probably in the world the person that's added the most value to an organisation for the percentage least reward of that. So, yeah, give him 100k a day, why not?
Yeah, although this unsettles me a little bit. Not the money, because a couple of £1 million a year for Fergie's, he'll be well worth it, because his job there is basically to be a lick spittle for the corporate sponsors that United have. So he'll be off in Malaysia, prompting people to buy Mr. Potato savoury snacks, the official partner of United, and other such garbage, which seems a little bit of a downgrade, really. He's a knight of the realm. He shouldn't be doing that. He should be lording it up in the royal box somewhere.
Well, to be honest, Bobby's been doing it for a little while, hasn't he? Bobby's in the Turkish Airlines advert and stuff, so Knights of the Realm have been at this for a while.
Yes, this is very true.
Ferguson saying that he said to all the players, you can call me anything you like, but just you're not allowed to call me boss from now on. You've got a new boss, and brings a bit of it catches in the throat saying that, doesn't it? He's really going. It's really happening.
It has happened.
We've got a new dad, Ed. New dad David Moyes has come in, and he looks a bit strict.
I'm not sure I like new dad David Moyes, but I'm open-minded. We'll see. I'm totally open-minded. If United come firing out of the blocks next season, playing spectacular football and all of that stuff, we'll all be happy, won't we?
Yeah, and if they don't, then we'll be patient.
Well, he'll be a dour former Ginger Scott. He's got some serious wrinkle problems.
Very, very nice and definitely noteworthy from West Brom. I mean, ridiculous atmosphere in the way end, and 20 minutes of every one of us loves Alex Ferguson, and a good at least 10 solid minutes of the new David Moyes chant, and that was brilliant. It's very United-esque. It's somebody commented that Ferguson will absolutely love hearing that. United fans all singing David Moyes' chant, and pretty cool, I thought.
Indeed. So, shall we look back on the season? Because it feels like it's been a very long season, doesn't it? I remember back to we had a couple of specials over the summer last year, didn't we? To do with the
Euros
football and all of that, and then into the season, starting with that game at Everton. But it's been a long old one, but some highlights and some lowlights, and certainly some memorable stuff.
Oh, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I don't think we hoped it would be this good. We had to record a special podcast after our first episode of the season, because I believe in the first episode there's some fairly adamant discussion on how Robin van Persie's not coming to United, and then we recorded a little special. Do you remember doing that? That seems like a really long time ago that we did that.
It certainly does seem like a very long time ago, but yeah, another of my fine predictions there. If Robin van Persie joins, I will eat my hat, I think was the cliched brag. But yeah, he did join.
I saw some footage of Robin van Persie playing for Arsenal at some point this week, and for a minute I was really confused, like genuinely, not just saying that, but my brain it took a minute to compute what I was seeing, and then I realised how the world works again. But just for one, he's definitely ours now. There's no question about that whatsoever. And that's really the defining characteristic of the close season, wasn't it? The signature of Van Persie, and so many of the season's really profoundly, wonderfully memorable moments have been somewhat involving the Dutchman in one way or another. When I think back to this season in years to come, I will think back to him wheeling away in almost sort of disbelief and joy as he scores against Manchester City, and again wheeling away in relief and excitement as he blasts in that 30-yard league-winning volley against Aston Villa.
Yeah, and of course the the fine celebration and pose after he scored at West Ham, and I think we'll talk about all those moments in a little bit, won't we? Yeah. I mean, I think the focus has been on Robin van Persie because he was a big acquisition and because he's said and done all the right things, and he's had a very fine season indeed. 30 goals is no mean feat for anyone, even if he came in as a highly experienced and expensive acquisition. So great stuff from Robin, and he's just settled in at the club perfectly. It's almost as if he could have been here forever, but he hasn't. But it's he's an integral part of the team, and so much so that Wayne Rooney is no longer an integral part of the team, and that's another measure of Van Persie's success. I think there's some ambition there, it seemed.
Wayne's taken in the neck a bit this week, hasn't he? Basically, as far as I can work out, his people have been counter-briefing the press, saying that he never handed in a transfer request.
Ah, yes, but this is the thing. He is not handing in a formal transfer request. Now tell me when players actually do that. Yeah, because that would be breaking the contract loyalty clause. So they never do that because they want their loyalty bonus. Absolutely. So they want the payoff if they're going to go. He went to see Ferguson and he said, I want to leave.
Oh, well, apparently so.
That's a transfer request. Might not be a formal transfer request, but I'm afraid we're not that stupid.
No, and it is incredibly ironic that he basically said the last time he handed in the transfer request, he said publicly the club is not showing enough ambition. The club then bought 2 players who make his position completely redundant because they bought Kagawa to play in number 10 and Van Persie to play at number 9, and that's it. You don't need Rooney anymore. And I mean, Rooney's a wonderful player. At his best, he's phenomenal, but he has not been at his best very often this season. 16 goals, 15 assists, not bad.
The numbers are good, yeah. No, I mean, I think I said last week, the numbers are good, and he had that burst of goal scoring when Robin van Persie wasn't scoring, which was right at the right time, but he didn't play very well then, I think 16 goals and 15 assists mask the fact that this, I think, has been Rooney's worst season for United. The performances just haven't been good.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's looked like his heart's not in it, and lo and behold, it turned out his heart wasn't in it. Somebody somewhere doing some analysis saying that Carrick at the MUFC Awards said that you don't just play for Manchester United, you live for Manchester United, and Rooney is not a person who is going to live for Manchester United.
Well, no, I mean, 2 transfer requests in 3 seasons tell you that is the case, Yeah. And, I mean, look, I don't want to get on a massive downer about Rooney, but no. I can't square this circle anymore. To be honest, I just don't want him at the club. What's the point? He's not the player that he once was. He's not going to be the player he once was unless he's refocused. He doesn't appear that he wants to do that. He's been clearly, patently unfit this season. He doesn't look after himself. His attitude isn't right. And I think the club and player would benefit from him moving on. That's a real shame because his talent is magnificent. He should have been up there with Messi and Ronaldo. That's how good his natural talent is. And when he burst onto the scene at 16, that's what you thought he was going to become, one of the very best in the world. And for a while, he was, he was right up there, and the talk of him being in that kind of elite bracket of players was quite right. It's absolutely right. But he's let himself go, and he's let himself down, and, and if United can't get any more out of him, then he might as well go. The problem is, of course, there's very few options for club or player, so, that kind of limits what can happen there. But for me, if we're talking about some of the down points of the season, that's the major down point, Rooney's performances.
Yeah, I mean, he was your prediction to be player of the season. I think he maybe even tops goal scorer as well, or I think we may have had some debate about that because of Van Persie, but certainly it was not unreasonable to think that would happen. But there's no way he's not even in the discussion for player of the season, and nowhere near it, really. He's not probably in the top 5.
Even with Kagawa joining the club, I thought Rooney would thrive in that slightly deeper position. I thought that was effectively the position he started his career in. I think he's natural there, but he didn't thrive in that position. He didn't thrive, and I think most of it's his own fault.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing for Rooney is also Sir Alex leaves. That sort of cracks a door ajar to him rebuilding his career at Manchester United under whoever comes next. And then it's David Moyes slams the door back shut straight away. The bloke that sued me. That's great. I've fallen out with old Fergie. He's finally slinging his hook, and I'm left with the man that sued me over my book. So, I think he's going to be Paris bound or Monaco bound or Chelsea bound. we had the conversation not 6 weeks ago where we were asked who's the best player at United, and you answered Rooney without a second's hesitation. And we don't really want him to end up at Chelsea, I don't think, because it would be much better for United if he's not at Chelsea, because I think he'll probably have a point to prove. I suspect he'll regain some of the hunger from a move, and he's pretty belligerent character, and he's not going to enjoy what happens in the wake of, they're already getting, him and his wife already getting tons of abuse from Neanderthal United fans on Twitter and stuff, and just think, he's going to want to prove a point, so it'd be good if he goes somewhere else.
Yeah, you got to really stop abusing him, Paul.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, well, look, while we're on some downers, because we're going to get to the good stuff with the Rantcast Awards, which all the players are waiting for, I know.
Yep.
Gathered round their wireless. Let's talk about some other low points, because I think the spectacular low point in midfield for United, one particular player aside, but the rest of them, it's been really poor. Nani, terrible season. Valencia, awful, except for actually, with some irony, the last few games of the season.
He was really good against West Brom, Valencia, worth pointing that out.
I know. He's found the jet in his heels again. Young, terrible season.
Awful.
In central midfield, Anderson, terrible season. Cleverly, really disappointing Cleverly. And because he had 4 months of playing pretty well, I think. And then the spring, the important part of the season, he's just been a non-entity. Not all his fault, I've got to say. He's not really been given much of an opportunity to shine. But when he has played, he's not played well either.
No, I mean, two things. One, I think worth saying that Anderson once again had a bright point before he got injured, but we all knew exactly what was coming, because that's the exact cycle that, he really was a really effective part of the side for a brief period of time this season. I mean, it was basically the month of November, if memory serves me right. Anderson was excellent, but then it ended with an injury, and then the long, slow haul back to some sort of fitness. Cleverly, I mean, this is rumour and speculation, but it's from pretty good sources that actually it has been his fault, because the reason that he's been left out of the side is because Ferguson is not happy at all with his off-field behaviour, and he's been left out of the side to send a sort of message that you can't go around behaving like this in order to, if you want to be a Man United regular and mainstay.
Yep, right, and David Moyes won't accept that either.
No, and nor should he.
No, nor should he. No, you're right. I mean, you don't get paid the big bucks for nothing, right? It's to perform, to be a professional sports person, and you make massive sacrifices.
Yeah.
All elite sports people make huge sacrifices, and unfortunately, with footballers, they get to the point sometimes in their lives that they stop wanting to make those sacrifices.
Yeah.
And Cleverly has always had the kind of tendency, appointing the brand consultancy, and he had the model girlfriend and all of that kind of stuff. So, it's up to him. He's not a young guy anymore, actually.
Nope.
He's not a kid now, so he behaves like a professional and works hard and makes sure he's a part of Manchester United, or he won't be. He's not brilliant enough to command a place without that.
He's not Wayne Rooney. On the pitch, I think, as you say, he had a really good first half of the season, and it really started to... His worst performances were when he wasn't even played in central midfield, and I don't think you can blame him too much for that.
No, the one on the left wing that Ferguson had to go at him for as well, which was, I think, was a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Against Chelsea. I mean, come on. I don't think I've ever seen him play on the left wing, except for perhaps a couple of occasions when he was very young. I've seen him play on the right. His best position, we're now pretty sure, is one of two in central midfield.
I know we're talking about the things that have not been great, but it just shows you how incredible Michael Carrick's been, that he's been the only good midfielder, basically, for huge swathes of the season, and we've won the league by 1 million points or whatever. So
another disappointment, Chris Smalling, and that, again, not his fault. He's just spent this season injured.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is 2 seasons in a row he's missed much of the season through injury. This can't happen. If he wants to be a United defender, if he wants to be Rio's replacement or Vidic's replacement, then he's got to get himself fit. Again, Johnny Evans has had a number of injuries this season, in and out of the side as a result, and Phil Jones too. In fact, I guess the guy with the best fitness record this season is Rio Ferdinand, and that doesn't really compute, does it?
No, I mean, it's wonderful in a way. It's a wonderful testament to what a professional he actually is. It's ridiculous, the level of Rio's professionalism.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure you'd quite conclude that seeing his tweets from his stag do somewhere in the Mediterranean this week. But, hey.
No, absolutely.
Fair enough. He's allowed to. It's the summer.
Yeah, well, quite, yeah. Some of those are impact injuries and you can't read too much into them. It's not uncommon for players to have a couple of seasons early on in their career where they're really blighted by injury and then get it together. And look at Van Persie, played every single league game this season. If you'd said that about 24-year-old Robin Van Persie, that at this age that's what he was going to be doing, people would have laughed you out of the room, wouldn't they? So I don't think it's crisis point for any of those players, really. I mean, Phil Jones has come back really strong. Johnny Evans, when he's not been injured, has been absolutely masterful. I mean, early on in the season, he was our best defender by a mile for a good period of the season, and one of our main attacking threats as well. So I think it's easy to, when you do season review stuff, it's really easy to focus on what is freshest in the memory, or that's what happens to me anyway. I kind of think about the season as having started in about February, but actually, if you look back on the first half of the season, Evans was absolutely crucial, wasn't he? So.
He's 25 now, right? So he's no longer a kid. It's no longer the fresh new young thing. He's a senior pro, and he's had a good season. I think he's going to turn out to be a fine defender for United. He's a notch below Vidic and Ferdinand at their best, but then again, most players are. So the question is, can United find the right balance in the years going forward to be as good in defence as they have been in some seasons? Not this one. Highest amount of goals shipped since 2001.
When they were actually paying attention to defending this season, they really were very good at it. It's just they decided it was profoundly secondary for large swathes of the first half of the season and then decided to ship another 5 for a laugh in the last game.
And, of course, we say goodbye to a couple of players. So Scholes retires. I think we'll probably never see Fletcher again. Ferguson said when saying goodbye a couple of weeks ago in the Swansea game, I wish him a speedy recovery. Interesting, that one, since he's pretty much been recovering for the last 18 months. But, hey, I can't imagine we'll see him back playing for United anytime soon. But I think they'll look to offer him a coaching role, maybe, or Ferguson certainly would have. Whether Mini Fergie will or not, I don't know. I guess the final disappointment for me, Danny Welbeck. Not that his performances have been bad, because they haven't at all. In some cases he's performed really, really well. But he hasn't scored, and that's a bit of a problem for a striker. He's got 2, I think, this season, hasn't he? And he's got to do better than that, surely.
He's got 2, you're right, but one of them was in the Bernabeu, so that counts at least 5 times. So I'm giving him 6 goals for the season.
Anderson has got 2 goals, and so has Butner, and Raphael's got 3, and Evra's got 4.
Yeah, you're right, all right, but whatever, it's Danny Welbeck. I refuse to apply regular, normal human rules to how I feel about Danny Welbeck. Listen, he definitely needs to improve his clinicalness, because it's crazy that he's only got 2 goals. And also, one of the reasons it's particularly crazy is because there's no way the sum total of his positive impact on United this season can be weighed up in those 2 goals, because he's done an incredibly important job in some really big games, and he was our best player against Real Madrid, and that's not to be underrated as a contribution. But I don't really want to say this, but I guess you do have to accept that 2 goals is not enough, even for Danny Welbeck.
No, it's really not.
I'm not having Danny Welbeck as being one of the low points of the season, though. That I'm not having.
Let's be clear. I said his goal scoring was a low point of the season. Anyway, I think I've come to the end of my low points. Ish.
Hold on, we got one more, ladies and gentlemen.
We got one. It's not a low point, it's a disappointment. Okay. It's a disappointment that we haven't seen Hernandez more this season.
Yeah.
He started 9 games in the Premier League, That's not enough. Yeah, he's his second top goal scorer. He's got 18 in all competitions, which is a fine return given that he's only started 22 games.
And some absolutely crucial goals in amongst that lot as well. So many points won by Chicharito goals. I agree with that one. I mean, I guess, listen, we can't realistically talk about low points of the season without the low point of the season. I mean, the Real Madrid game will live long in the memory because that atmosphere was just like absolutely nothing else. I mean, it feels like a game apart, It feels like it happened in a different venue to where we normally play. There's only been 2 times this season that it's got anywhere near that level of atmosphere, and one was in that game and the other was when the greatest manager of all time announced his retirement. So it was really very special, the kind of return of Ronaldo, and there are so many United fans for whom that means so much. I mean, I don't think either of us are particularly in that camp, but you can't deny that it's a huge thing for so many United fans.
I'm a bit confused though. You said the greatest manager of all time has retired. Paul Le Guen has retired? What?
Yeah, David Moyes, in fact, still there. So the future greatest manager of all time has not yet retired.
Yes, I mean, you're right, yeah, in terms of season lows, that was a massive low. Going into the game, I think we both predicted United were going to lose, and I wasn't very confident, and no one was really, because Real Madrid, and I don't think anyone really feels this is the greatest United side ever, but the performances were very creditable. You know, defended really well over in the Bernabeu, some spectacular saves from Big Dave, a very good last 20 minutes performance, great goal from Danny Welbeck, and then took the game to Madrid at Old Trafford. Played very well until the sending off, which was an unjust and bizarre sending off, and it completely changed the nature of the game. So it was very unlucky for United as a result, and that's what makes it even lower. Of course, with hindsight, we know that Ferguson had already decided to retire and told the senior staff at United, and that's why he was so crushed. It was his last game in the European Cup, something that has been the holy grail for him.
One of the things that I think about that performance is what I really hope is that some of those United players, in their quieter, more retrospective moments, look at what it says about them as players, the way the team responded to the red card, because the red card was awful and it was such a heightened atmosphere and the players were playing absolutely out of their skin, so it's not surprising that something so shocking had such a big knock-on effect on all the players, but they really lost it for a bit.
Well, they lost it for about 3 months, but yeah, in the game, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's also true, of course. Yeah, so, you know, that red card took so much out of all the players, and I really hope that there's some honest analysis about that, and it's not all just put on, oh, what a terrible refereeing decision that was, kind of thing.
I'm hoping internally there was some honest analysis. But I mean, the public face, of course, was that United were unjustly dumped out of the European Cup. Not that we could actually promise that United would have gone any further, particularly. Who knows? I mean, the path would have led to Dortmund in the semi-final, and maybe, or maybe not, very fine side. But it wasn't to be, and Ferguson will end with a record of 4 European Cup finals in his 26 years at United, which I think is not too bad. I mean, I know compared to some of the greats, you might have hoped, given that how many good sides Ferguson had, that United might have done more than that. You know, 2 European Cup wins feels like a bit light for Ferguson's massive era of success, but 4 cup finals and a bunch of semi-finals and really only 2 failures, total failures, is a pretty good record all in all.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, the comparisons are so unfair because he gets compared to Paisley, who picked up a side that was in its prime. You know, Paisley built on phenomenal work that went before him, whereas Ferguson built the team from scratch. He built the concept of European football for English teams, again, from scratch. He spent the first period of his time in European competition really hamstrung by the 3 foreigner rule and how the nature of the relationship between Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, that had a kind of...
Well, very damaging effect. Yeah, very damaging effect.
Yeah, exactly. Disproportionately on United compared to their European rivals. Then in that last part where he built the team that was most effective in Europe of all the teams he ever built, the one that was most geared up to win in Europe, that he came across the best club side in the last 50 years, or let's not say 50 years, but certainly 20, you know.
Let's not forget 3 European Cup finals in 4 years. That's pretty good, yeah, and coming up against Barcelona during that period, it could have been a lot different. Anyway, we may overrun on the show this week, fair enough, last one of the season, but before we go, we absolutely must give out some of our awards because I know people have been waiting for these.
I've been waiting all season to do this, Ed. This is my favourite bit of the season where we get to hand out gongs.
Yeah, so we've got some gongs that we've decided. This is separate from the website gongs, although this might give you a clue as to where we're going.
Yeah.
And we've got some awards that people have tweeted in.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to start with all the proper grown-up awards that we've invented. The Rankcast Manchester United Defender of the Season. I should say also, we're not necessarily going to come up with a definitive answer. We get a gong each to hand out in this circumstance, don't we, Ed?
Yeah, of course we get a gong each, and we may have to give several gongs out if we can't decide, but, you know, that's just the way it rolls. My Rankcast Defender of the Season is Raphael. I think he's had an outstanding season, and It could have gone to Ferdinand because he's also had an outstanding season, but I just think the progress of the young man has been spectacular to see. Unlucky not to win the PFA right back of the season. The team of the season came up against Zabaleta there. So Raphael for me.
Rio gets a silver gong with the number 5 on it, and Raphael gets a bright, shiny gold gong with curly hair on top, because he's my defender of the season as well. It's just grown so much. And I mean, you do sometimes see players have one spectacular season and then fade, but I don't think that's him. To me, he's got this is the season where everything that he's been building towards has come together. For the most part, he's got rid of the stupid mistakes out of his game. He's hardly pulled back a player all season, which is wonderful. He's made such a fantastic contribution going forward when the right hand side's been really flat. I mean, you love seeing Raphael charging up the field, but he's also phenomenal defensively. And Rio's had a really good season, and I do love Rio, but Raphael's my defender of the year.
Now for the most competitive award.
This is going to be tough, Ed.
Midfielder of the season, so my choice goes to Anderson. No.
Yay,
no.
Well done, Anderson.
No. He unfortunately was too busy at KFC eating his third bucket. So I've given it to Michael Carrick instead.
It's Carrick, I'm sure you can all believe we've given him this award. There's not really any discussion. I can't believe this. I strongly suspect the next gong is going to go... let's wax lyrical about Michael Carrick for a bit, shall we? You may believe that he's not Scholes because he hasn't got the shooting and his tackling is an awful lot better. But Carrick's all-round game is phenomenal. The work he contributes to the defence with his shielding and filling in space and his distribution and recycling of possession. I remember you saying, when we all think that he had a big 18-month dip in form or thereabouts, and I remember you saying that he suffered more than almost anyone else at Manchester United from the loss of Ronaldo because he's so good at recycling possession. But he's restructured his game and we've rebuilt a slightly different sort of team again, and he is just absolutely vital, isn't he?
Yeah, United couldn't have won the Premier League without him this season. I think that's how vital he's been. He's held that midfield together when there haven't been a richness of resources there for Ferguson to use. So his performances have been absolutely central to United getting the Premier League back, and there's not much more praise that you can give him than that, I think. Really absolutely key Carrick this season.
Absolutely, and deservedly won Players' Player of the Year, the unsung hero whose name's been sung more often than almost anyone else, perhaps apart from Van Persie this season. Which brings us to the next topic where I'm sure there's going to be a striking disagreement on this one, Ed. The Manchester United Forward Player of the Season award goes to...
Robin Van Persie.
Oh, Robin Van Persie. What an acquisition, what a player, what a gift to MUTV and the PR machine of Manchester United and all the fans, and a great testament that you probably should avoid Just for Men because Robin Van Persie is the best.
Indeed.
Why is he your choice, Ed?
Well, mainly 30 reasons.
Yeah.
30 goals it's all good. 26 in the Premier League, which is an outstanding return for Van Persie, and again, absolutely key. Without Carrick and Van Persie, United could not have won the Premier League this season, Rooney suffered in part for all the reasons we talked about, right? So his return wasn't anywhere near what it has been in the last couple of seasons. So Van Persie had to come and score those goals. Of course, we knew that he would. I guess you benchmark against expectations, don't you? And the expectations were very high because he's a senior pro, experience, came in for a lot of money. You'd expect him to hit the ground running, but he really has. I think, as we've said several times this season, he's a much better player than we actually thought. You saw him in bits and pieces for Arsenal when United played them, or when he caught a game on the TV, or highlights of the match of the day, or whatever it was. You certainly didn't watch him in the kind of depth that we have at United, and Wenger was right. Wenger said when he left that United will find out what a great player they've got, world-class player, he said, and he's all of that and a bit more.
30 reasons, but all manner of different sorts of goals as well. Just goals that other players would not have scored, as well as like a really good poacher's instinct. But think back to that Southampton game, and he kind of Panenka'd that penalty, and it was such a horrible decision. It went so horribly wrong. And then the legend of Robin Van Persie, the Manchester United player, was born, because he won the game with a hat-trick, and he just kept doing that all season long, didn't he?
Defender, midfield, striker. We haven't done goalkeeper of the season. That's a tough one, isn't it? Big Dave, obviously. But who's your player of the season?
For all those 30 reasons, just for the smile, Michael Carrick's been wonderful, and I think the fact that the Players' Player and Fans' Player of the Year was so perfectly split between them is just so incredibly appropriate. And, you know, I'm a fan and not a player, so I'm going with the Fans' Player of the Year, Robin van Persie. You watch football because of the joy that it can give you. That's why I watch football. And the player that's given me the most joy in a Manchester United shirt this season has definitely been Robin van Persie.
Me too. So that's it. That's the main gongs. Then we've got some more we have to give away. Goal of the season. Now, I think there's two key goals here that it could be, but we had a little chat about this the other day, didn't we, on the pod? So we kind of signposted this one already. But for me, it's Van Persie's stupendous volley after Wayne Rooney's fantastic pass against Aston Villa. It's the moment as well as the goal, of course, the game that won United the title.
I'm leaning the other way. We've given gongs to the same people for every single one of these awards so far. So I'm going for that West Ham United goal. Because that was quite the moment as well, because it was that was the game when Musa Okwonga coined the nickname the Wolf for Robin van Persie, because he just came on and sorted everything out, and we knew he would, and he did it in such spectacular style. And
we also said goal of the season that was not scored by Robin.
Yeah, because it was so clear that goal of the season was going to go to one of those two goals, we thought we'd open up a category for discussion whereby someone else gets an award for a goal, because there's definitely a few candidates for this one. Which way have you gone, Ed?
I'm not sure if it was the best goal, but it's the one I enjoyed the most, I think. It's Shinji Kagawa rolling it in and giving the Norwich defence the eyes as four players go one way and the ball goes the other.
I'm punching the air as you say that. That goal was a moment of pure footballing magic. You know, that's why we were all in it. I think honourable mention has to go to Rafael's golazzo against QPR.
Absolute storm of that strike as well. I'm not sure he'll ever do it again, although he's tried a couple of times, hasn't he?
He hasn't. He's got close. He's definitely got it in his locker, as it were. But, you know, also a really distinct honourable mention for Rafael's goal against Liverpool, which was a real stunner as well.
Very good. Save of the season for me was Big Dave's with the feet in the Bernabeu. Just crazy. It's about 4 feet off the ground. He flies across the turf with a complete wrong part of his body, but somehow managed to keep it out. And a great photo, of course. You know, a spectacular moment.
I've just got in capital letters on my list Kung Fu Dave, so we've gone for the same one there. I mean, maybe it wasn't the best save of the season, but it was certainly the most kind of heart-stopping save of the season. I mean, I could just take a moment to have a conversation about De Gea's season, because given where he started, and even at the beginning of this season, Lindegaard got quite a few games, up until that disastrous game at Reading, which he managed to repeat, actually, didn't he, the other night? We didn't mention Lindegaard at West Brom, but pretty ropey performance from Lindegaard, yeah. We know with Lindegaard he's a step below, which kind of makes it seem ridiculous that there was a competition for the spot at first. Ferguson rotated them last season and looked like he was going to do it per game this season for a while. Lindegaard got quite a few games at the beginning of the season. Actually ended up with 10 Premier League starts this season. The gulf in quality between the two of them. Lindegaard is by no means a bad keeper. You know, he would be a perfectly decent Premier League goalkeeper for many teams in the league, but David De Gea is going to be in the top 3 goalkeepers in the world for his entire career. He's grown, he's looked more confident, he's commanding, he's filled out physically. There have been very few glaring errors. He got blamed for a goal at Tottenham, didn't he? Which I thought was harsh, given that Nemanja Vidic tried to headbutt him. But he's just got a really, really solid game, plus the penchant for the spectacular as well. You know, he can do it. And there are times where he's saved shots that he has no right to save, and the strikers followed up and scored. If he was a keeper not quite as good, he'd probably found the corner of the net. I'm really excited for next season, and he's also in with a shot at Chant of the Year, a very, very late entry into that, but we'll come to Chant of the Year later. That's the big award, of course. That's what everyone wants to win. The MUFC _ Facebook sponsored Zup Zup, aka United Player Tweet of the Year. Various different people suggesting this as a category at bifurcated _ MUFC, and also at Dodd1984. Absolutely. The Welbs is That Guy Award, it could be called. Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, there's 2 potential candidates to win this award. One is the greatest of all Man United-related tweeters, the man who originated Zup Zup, and also when Welbeck scored in the Bernabeu, it was a magical moment, made all the more magical by Ravel Morrison tweeting, "Welbs is that guy." I mean, just brilliant, beautiful. But my other favourite, a late entry at Carras16, he's got himself involved in the Twitter action and just immediately started acting like a fan, tweeting a Skulls poster with a bunch of quotes on it with a little copyright Carrick 2013, making me think he put it together himself in Microsoft Publisher. All right, best headed goal by a defender. I can't remember who it was against or who put the assist in or anything, but I can remember the look of joy on Patrice Evra's face. Brilliant bit of the season when every week either Johnny Evans or Patrice Evra scored off a Robin van Persie corner.
Well, yeah, 4 goals for Evans and 4 for Evra this season. 4 for Evra. I think all of them were with his head as well, which is crazy. All kinds of craziness. The guy's about 2 foot tall. Stopped growing when he was 3 and he's out jumping defenders.
Wasn't there one where he smashed it in though, because he was starting to get scared of Alex Butner, so he had to score. I think one was with his feet, but yeah.
Very good return for Evra this season, both goals and assists, and didn't mention it earlier, but a very good return to form as well. I think this season has been better than his last 2.
Most underrated season at Toby Coughlin, United rant writer extraordinaire, Toby Coughlin. I really enjoy his stuff. I would suggest that, in fact, Patrice has probably had the most underrated season in a United shirt.
I think that's a good shout. Yeah. He's performed really, really well. I think talk of Leighton Baines coming in, I mean, Leighton Baines being 28 and the fee in excess of 15 million, doesn't make a lot of sense to me when you think you can get at least another good season out of Evra, maybe 2.
He was the only player singing "Are You Watching Merseyside" with the fans at the celebrations in Albert Square, and also there was that thing where he bit the pretend hand. So, good season all round.
Best celebration of the year?
I don't know. I think it's got to be Robin van Persie against City for me. Just the joy, the running around, the kind of wheeling away, just almost not knowing which way to go for a second, looking for our fans.
There was, I'll have a shot.
Yes.
Then it hits the back of the net. Then Robin goes mental and so do all the fans.
Have you got an alternative best celebration of the season?
Well, I think it's also Robin as well, isn't it? Against Villa when he went slightly crazy as well and sprinted around the pitch.
Don't like Chicharito holding up the sea at all. It looks forced. I don't like it. Remember when he came, his first season, he never celebrated with the kind of like, rah, yes. It was always just like a pure happy kind of kid scoring a goal joy. But he's got a bit more serious in his celebrations. I'm not sure I like it.
I don't like the whole let's hold up a heart, let's rock a baby, let's do something kind of choreographed. You want a bit of passion there. You want to find the balance between doing that kind of nonsense and holding your hand up Shearer style, because it's lame, obviously.
Except when Giggs does it, because he just looks cool.
The John O'Shea Versatility Award, says Jack Holt. So for me, this is an interesting one. I think Rooney gets it because he's played up front, he's played on the left wing, he's played on the right wing, he's played in the hole, he's played in central midfield. One game I saw him filling in at left back, not for a long time. But of course the position he's made his own this season is on the bench, warming it.
I'm not giving Rooney any awards because he's handed in too many transfer requests. In fact, the Jack K. Holt John O'Shea Versatility Award of the season for me goes to Phil Jones. Phil Jones!
Perhaps we should give away the Steven Gerrard Transfer Request Award.
RA lad, it goes to RA lad to the White Pele. And talking to the White Pele, the hashtag Good Hairs Award, the at White Pele 10 category. Best Manchester United haircut of the season. Now, this is quite tough, but for me, I'm a sucker for a classic, and I'm a sucker for a silver fox. So the boy Robin is walking away with yet more silverware.
Yeah, I'm quite liking Henderson's afro. It does put a couple of pounds on him, and he doesn't carry it well, but yeah, it's looking pretty good at the moment.
I'm pretty sure physics-wise, an afro is not heavier than cornrows. I'm sure that just weighs the same amount.
No, it captures the air.
Oh yeah, you might be right. Yeah, more drag. That's true. That is true. But honourable mention, very, very honourable mention to David De Gea's ridiculous quiff.
Yeah, and I think we should give an award as well for shirt screw-up of the season, for Anders Ron.
Ah, Anders Ron. Yeah, Albert Morgan's least fine hour.
The best shirt screw-up since David Beckham lost a H all those years ago.
Anders Ron. Way better as well, because Anders Ron, it sounds different, and David Beckham without an H is just Beckham. It sounds the same. Former player most frequently interviewed following Fergie and Scholes' retirement announcement award from that Steve Gray.
Lou Macari, surely he's on every one going, isn't he? And Gary Pallister and Andy Cole. And Dwight York, he does a lot of live TV. Yeah, he's been on a bit. Sammy Mack.
I think all of these are fine shouts, but the winners holding up the trophy together are Dwight Yorke and Big Peter Schmeichel. The ridiculous Manchester United revisionism of the season award goes to Peter Schmeichel, the man who celebrated Man City goals in front of the Stretford end like he'd just scored the winner in a European Cup final himself. Now just it's all we and us and, he's completely written off a chunk of his life.
I haven't forgotten, Pete.
No, absolutely not. Best Tom Cleverley lookalike of the season at Craig English 92. Obviously, the award goes to Alex Booner, but honourable mention to Wayne Rooney, because from a certain camera angle, when they've got their hair the same way, all three of them are quite difficult to differentiate.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think Butner gets it. A bit slimmer in the face and everywhere else than Rooney as well.
The Attlees Worsley Award for game that you enjoyed most this season.
Tough one. I mean, I suppose it's the Derby victory, isn't it? Last minute goal and all of that.
Yeah, that's definitely it for me. Also enjoyed us beating Liverpool as well this season in a way that I'm not normally that bothered about, but they've really been horrible to...
everyone.
Everyone, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Particularly black people and Serbs.
Yeah, quite flipping loved that Derby victory. It felt absolutely magic. And an honourable mention, it's a few different honourable mentions. Obviously, the Villa game where we won the league was incredibly enjoyable. And the game against Norwich, which was a weird sort of not that very good game, but the last 15 minutes where Kagawa scored a hat-trick and Rooney scored an absolute worldie. I really, really, really enjoyed that.
Best assist of the season, or this almost should have been an official award, shouldn't it? For me, Ryan Giggs on the half volley to Robin van Persie at West Ham, 60 yards or so that ball covered, and to do it on the full like that was quite spectacular.
That was wonderful, as was Rooney's assist for the Van Persie. I mean, Van Persie giving immense credit to Rooney for that assist, for the Villa goal. But my choice is Carrick against Newcastle for Chicharito in the 4-3, where he just put the ball on a sixpence and like half the team ran to Chicharito and half the team ran to Carrick. And that was kind of it's Carrick, you'll never leave it's not Scholes moment in a way. One last award. Who stuck it to the critics' bestest award? So which player who kind of got it in the neck from the critics and ended up sticking it to him? Raphael, Rio, Evra, and my choice for that award, David De Gea for sure.
Funny that Patrick Barkley has been rather silent on the topic, despite much goading from thousands of United fans. Just keep at it, I say, all summer until he finally admits that he was wrong.
And talking of the summer, we are about to leave you for 2.5 months of Rankcast free zones. No international tournament for us to talk about this season.
Well, there are the Euro under-21s.
There are, but yeah, least said, soonest mended and all that.
2 United players playing, David De Gea for Spain, and I think it's the last age group tournament that he plays in, and Wilfried Zaha. Of course, a United player since January and on loan at Crystal Palace. We'll see him next season. That'll be exciting. But if you want to check him out a bit more, you can see him in the Euro Under-21s.
I can't believe I nearly forgot my favourite category in all of the Rankcast awards, Ed. It's the Chant of the Season award.
I think we know your favourite, so I'll just leave it to you, shall I?
There's a few, right? There's a few. First of all, I think we have to give a few really significant late season honourable mentions. He's big, he's brave, he's Spanish Dave. He makes great saves, he never shaves. Flying through the air. Come and have a shot if you dare. Magic. Fantastic David De Gea chant. Love it. And of course the West Brom game was lit up with "Come on David Moyes, play like the Fergie boys, we'll go wild, wild, wild." Absolutely brilliant. And it's funny because not even the manager yet already got a better chant than any other manager anywhere in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, it helps when your name rhymes with a few things, doesn't it?
It does.
Nice touch of class there from United fans. Whatever you think about the new man, he's going to get significant support from the United crowd, and that's right. Only right.
Yeah, and talking of significant support from the United crowd, even though it's the most simple, basic, ripped-off chant in the world, "Oh, Robin van Persie" has become associated with a kind of Pavlovian joy in my heart now. So it's just beautiful when it happens. And talking of joy in my heart, 20 times, Man United has been ringing round my head for the last month. But the winner, unquestionably, of Chant of the Season 2012-2013, oh, it's Carrick, hard to believe it's not Scholes.
It's a good job auto-tune isn't on a paper play, isn't it? Because I'd be broke by now.
Every single one of those was in perfect tune.
No, it wasn't. Press the button. Tune.
You can question the quality, but you can't question the tuning.
Very good. So, on to the summer ahead. What can we look forward to, Paul? Because there's no football until United go on their ridiculous tour of Hong Kong and Australia and some outpost in China. So we don't get another game until August the 16th, I think, which is the Charity Shield against Wigan.
I'm not paying any attention to football this summer. I'll be away from Twitter, away from the blogs and websites and not doing the podcast. I really like the summer break. I know that makes me unusual because people miss it. But actually, frankly, it's nice to just get your head out of football for a bit and think about the other things in the world that are important. I'm not going to be following the transfer gossip until a player has got a scarf in the air and is standing next. I was just about to say standing next to Fergie, but with a tear in the eye, I can't say that. Till a player is standing next to David Moyes with a Man United scarf in the air, I'm not interested in whether we may or may not be about to sign someone. One last bit of transfer speculation before the madness really starts. Obviously, Zaha's coming. Is Rooney going to be a Manchester United player when we next do a rank cast?
So my bet is no.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to guess. I'm going to say no. I think he's gone. I think United are looking for a replacement. There's some politics here. It's whether United can get Lewandowski or not. There's a little bit of chicken and egg. Getting Lewandowski is reliant on Rooney going, and Rooney going might be reliant on the club feeling confident that they can secure Lewandowski. So I think Rooney will go. I'm not sure about Lewandowski. So, at the risk of contradicting myself, there is a risk there, of course. But it just doesn't feel like there's any hope for Rooney.
I don't know about any hope, but I to me it feels like 70-30 that he's not going to be here. I think having done it once, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice and all that stuff.
So, elsewhere, United clearly need another central midfielder, and not least because Scholes and Fletcher aren't out, so are out. Scholes retired, Fletcher I can't see coming back, so there's two men down. There's still a strong chance that Anderson will go. There is interest from Brazil and Portugal, where he still has a good reputation. The new man might like him, but he can't have seen much evidence for that, of course, over 6 years. And there's a question mark about whether United still need to strengthen in wide areas, even though Zaha's coming, because the wide players had such poor seasons. So won the league by 11 points, but still need to strengthen if United are going to have a crack at the European Cup.
Thing is, you have to imagine the league is going to be an awful lot tougher next season as well.
City, I'm sure they'll spend on senior players rather than youngsters as they did last summer. Chelsea look like they'll spend massively, and certainly Mourinho will demand that. Arsenal have a large budget, it seems, and I guess Spurs and Liverpool will each be wanting to get back into the top four, so I think it will be very, very competitive next season. And of course that means that in order to move forward, United probably do need to strengthen in areas where there's been weakness. There's not huge weakness, clearly. The club's done very well domestically. If we want to kick on a little bit and perhaps keep up with rivals in Europe, given that Bayern are strengthening significantly as well over the summer, then United probably have to do the same too.
You say there aren't huge weaknesses, but of course there are huge weaknesses in central midfield now. If Cleverley doesn't come good, if Anderson doesn't magically become the player that some people are holding out this beautiful but painful to see hope in Anderson. One thing that's interesting, I think, is Anderson and Nani. Which of those do you think is going to be at United at the beginning of next season? Do you think they'll both go?
Yeah, I'm less sure about Nani. In fact, I'm not sure about Anderson either. I would put a 7 out of 10 chance on both of them going. But of course, the new man changes it somewhat, doesn't it? Because he may want to not shift around that many players this summer. That would make a lot of sense from a new man coming in. If you make 5 changes in the squad or team because you want to strengthen and need to lose some players as a result, then that's quite a loss of continuity, isn't it?
We really are not big on transfer speculation, but this is our one opportunity to really speculate who are the players that will be coming into Manchester United this summer. Because to me, it doesn't seem that there's anyone out there that's being presented as a done deal.
No, I think we know why. Because Ferguson has been planning his retirement since February. The club has certainly got targets. Moyes will, I presume, have a say in these now. He's the new man. It'll be a completely new executive team and a new management team, so that may delay things somewhat.
My wild speculation, not so wild. I think we are very likely to bring in Fellaini. I don't know whether I think that's a good thing or not, but I think that it seems like a very Glazer-nomics-y sort of a signing.
Yeah, I don't see him fitting at United, but, we'll see. Well, maybe that'll happen.
I think my last bit of speculation will just be that we're not going to sign Gareth Bale or Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, I'll eat the hat that I had to rebuy if we sign either of those. I don't think so. And one last thing before we go, Brian Greenhoff, former United defender, died this week suddenly, and I had the opportunity to speak to him at quite a length last year, and that was really nice, and an interesting man. He passed away at age 60, doesn't seem old enough.
A real sad loss to the United community because he was such a huge part of the United fan community. He was involved with the lads from Talk of the Devils and appeared on their podcast numerous times, and very active on Twitter, and clearly a United fan through and through. Sort of saw it as a real honour to have played for the club, and from all accounts a really sort of dedicated, committed family man as well. So definitely a sad loss, and our thoughts are with those of you out there that knew and loved him.
That's it for the season. Thanks for being with us. In the meantime, if you want to abuse us on Twitter, you can at UTRantcast or at United Rant for me. We are on Facebook occasionally, facebook.com/United Rant. But it's been a pleasure, Paul.
It is literally always a pleasure every week doing this. It gets to be a bit of a chore to arrange it and all that kind of stuff. And it's, lives are complex and getting it fitted in is not always straightforward. But the actual sitting down and talking to you about Manchester United is one of the great pleasures of my life, Ed. So thank you very much. And to everybody that's tweeted at us, everyone that's left a review on iTunes, those of you kind enough to donate to cover the cost of hosting this show, which is downloaded by a number of people. That seems ridiculous to me, and certainly didn't ever think it would get to be like this. So thank you so much for listening. It's really, really cool to get an opportunity to do this, and I'm really glad you enjoy our whatever it is this is.
Very good, and we will see you in August.
Absolutely. Have a really good summer, everyone, and enjoy the break from football because, there's many other things that life has to offer. And this time, next season, we'll be celebrating with Come On, David Moyes, play like the Fergie boys, we'll go wild, wild, wild.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.